up a seat to the bar and join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tansen, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 12.9, Grace, Beauty, Art, where we are covering the novel Blood Rites. My name is Tansen, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
I always wondered why no one did it before me. I mean, all those comic books, movies, TV shows. You think the one eccentric loner would have made himself a costume. Thank you so much to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us keep doing what we're doing. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 12. Dresden returns to set and discusses the case with Arturo. They are interrupted by Trixie, the star of the film, who expresses her devastation at Giselle's replacement. They are joined by the incomparable Lara Romany, who Harry deduces is actually a Raith and part of the White Court vampires.
The thick plotting. So after heading to his office and getting held up by gunpoint and then having a big weepy heart-to-heart with Snickers and Murphy, he decides he needs a shower before he goes home again.
Little self-care.
Which is fair, because he was all half electrocuted or near electrocuted and then blood all over him from the.
He went to a police precinct covered in blood.
Yeah.
And
Where
no
did the blood
one
come
bothered
from
to
again?
care at all.
They're like, it's Dresden.
When they got electrocuted and she fell through the glass.
Giselle's cutthroat and everything.
Okay. I was like, I know there's something happening.
There was some CPR
Yeah,
going on.
because he left straight from there to the office.
Right.
And then he had to go grab the dog because he was going to, and then he goes by. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. They're just like, whatever, it's Dresden.
Kincaid didn't give a fuck. Murphy doesn't give a fuck. Whatever.
I was going to say, this is how close. I was going to say, Kincaid would just be like, all right, not my business. Right? He's the type that, yeah, it's kind of funny that even Murphy now is like, oh yeah, you had a thing.
If you remember
His
in
jacket covered it. I don't know.
The Half-Blood Prince, when Harry's late to dinner, and he finally shows up like halfway through dinner, and Ginny is like, "What? Why is he covered? Why is he always covered in blood?" Let this guy out of your sight for 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's true, because he had his coat off, so maybe it's just kind of all under his, so.
He shows up looking like a flasher.
Right.
Nothing to see here.
Hey, anybody want to buy a Rolodex? I like that one.
So, what are you doing?
Wow. Pay attention to when you're getting mocked, child.
No.
That was really good.
Anyway, so yeah, and then there's traffic and everything, and he gets back and he's late.
Now Harry's the late one.
It's because, it's totally like Joan said. She's going to show up late, and everybody else is going to think that he can late and stoned and entirely
It happens
sober.
really quickly.
Right, yeah, and Harry's like, well, it's like, excuse me, I have an excuse. I, saved your people this morning. Okay, I totally have reason to, not be back on time.
He meets Inari, who's all like, "You're late, and I'm a gopher, and let's get you to the set, and you need to talk to Arturo." And she's like,
Very
cute
perky
and fun, perky.
and peppy.
Very, very lighthearted.
Pretty lighthearted.
But it says immediately, she starts at a brisk walk, and I had to lengthen my steps. How fucking brisk? You need to lengthen your steps. This girl is jogging right now.
I feel, have they said, I feel like she is a little tall.
on average, which again is not going to be his tall, but even if they haven't. But I was going to say it must just be like he's just so used to, like usually he has to take really small, short, slow steps because everybody. So, maybe that's all of it. He wasn't expecting all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, I actually have to walk like half normal now.
I know a woman that was like 5'2", and she like booked it. Like, you had to run to keep up with her, and it was just always like just these really long taken strides and really like
compensating.
I walk quickly, but for Dresden to be like, I had to lengthen my steps to go out. I'm like, bro.
Maybe it was just the initial just to catch up. He like wasn't expecting her to take off, and he's like, ooh, whoa, and but yes. Yeah, it does kind of paint a picture, doesn't it?
And she offers him that vegetarian pizza. Nothing wrong with that. But it was the correct answer. Dead pigs and cows.
Yes. Oh, I love Dresden's whole exchange on this. As always, right? Because she's like, yeah, what do you want on your vegetarian pizza? Dead pigs and cows. And she's like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, I love his line. He's like, I choose to exercise my right as an apex predator. I'm like, thank you. Is that all we need to do to justify those of us that still want to eat meat in our lives? You can be vegan and vegetarian all you want, but I am choosing to exercise my right as an apex predator. And other apex predators get to eat meat. Nobody's out there yelling at the lions, right?
I'm
like,
any
you go
diet
get that, Giselle.
Like, just unless I've hired you as my personal dietitian, like, I don't need to know your opinion on what you think I should be eating.
Exactly.
And I won't tell you my opinion either.
Right.
Except for you, Jess. When all you would eat was chicken nuggets, I was like, that's not good.
And now she can't.
You see, I was just trying to get my fill in before it was never going to happen again.
She just knew there was doom was looming on the horizon.
No, I think that peer pressure does work sometimes, because I stopped eating chicken nuggets because I went to a restaurant as like a 16-year-old, and before we even ordered, a girl I'd never met before was like, oh, I find it so immature when teenagers are still ordering chicken nuggets and fries, and I was like, I gotta find something else on this menu. That was that.
There is a place sometimes for peer pressure, it's true. Yeah. These are the...
I gotta start learning about other food in the world.
Was like, I just like it. You should have been like, I don't think it's because it's like cutesy and I'm teenage. I literally hate all of their food. I mean, like, I won't eat anything else. No. That's funny though, because
that celiac did take that out of me.
Yeah.
Now she can
learn about more than bread products.
She can have the chicken and not the nuggets, and it's just not the same, you know. It's. Anyways, but yes, I just like how he's like doesn't take sides. He's like, I just exercise my right as an apex predator. So I'm like, yes, we are apex predators. We get to eat meat if we so choose.
So Inari, very nice girl that she is, has agreed to get him some high protein pizza. Cheese, beans, corn, tofu. Very, very yummy.
Oh, protein. That's all I had to say.
And Dresden, just handing off his dog again. The amount of people that are just okay with this is crazy.
I know. Well, I mean, again, I kind of get it from Inari's point. Like, absolutely. If you walked up to me with a puppy and was like, here, can you look after...
Puppies are cute.
Absolutely. But again, I just find it really funny that she's not like he doesn't question the fact that he's bringing this dog to the set. Like, is anybody going to mind?
Puppy.
Is Arturo going to... Yeah, and then he's pawning it off on this girl who did that. First of all, he's joking about her stealing his job, and then finds out she's even lower down on the totem pole than he is. So it's like, great, I get to work, but it was like, Dresden, you have no idea what you're doing. Like, you're literally here in, like, a fake job. And you're still, like, giving stuff to, like, the people below and being like, oh, it's okay. I said you could take the puppy.
Exactly. First day on the job.
Not clearing it with Joan. Not clearing it with Arturo. You're just like, here, take this dog and look after it. And, even if that means you have to run it outside to go piddle sometime, even though I don't know what you're supposed to be doing at your job besides ordering people, like, bean curd pizza. But, yeah, exactly right. That, again, he's just like, I'm sure it's fine. Nobody will mind. I don't need to clear it with anybody. And
but it does a really important job here as a twofold. A, she likes dogs and she's willing to watch the puppy, so she must be a good guy despite this whole vegetarian conversation.
Right.
Well, B, she is offering real Coke, not Diet Coke.
Yeah. I was going to say, that was the other thing that we know she's a good guy because, he's like, wait, decaffeinated? And she's like, health conscious, not insane.
Right. So.
Woo! Dodged a bullet there.
Just in case you thought she was one of the bad guys, Butcher is quick to say this all straight, okay?
Right.
She still drinks Coke and she likes dogs, okay? It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
So we meet up with Arturo again, who has now woken up by 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, hey, he had to be back at like 3-ish. It's not 5 yet.
Okay.
He probably got the call saying, don't show up until 3. something happened and had to deal with all that too.
But yes, exactly. When he wasn't out of bed yet this morning, is that he's definitely on set now. And now he wants to, because now it's like the first thing. He's like, oh, Arturo wants to see you. It's like, great, where was he when I wanted to talk to him at 8 o'clock this morning? But okay, fine.
Now
he's the boss, he's paying the bills,
crime
we'll
has
do it
been
on
committed.
we'll do it on his time. Yeah.
Harry, a big giant European bear hug and thanks him and thanks him and thanks him.
Gives him his credit. You are the one who saved them. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, they do. He's like, how are they? Is she going to be okay? And he's like, oh, she'll survive. Harden an actress, all this kind of. So, yeah, horribly disfigured, but alive.
I kind of love reading about that he's got like a half-smoked cigar going on there. Because it like really puts things into sort of a like, especially now, this sort of cultural time shift for me. Like, changes the time frame. It also has more of a European feel to it for me because Europeans were much slower to get on the non-smoking bandwagon.
Yes. And it isn't, because again, if this is like 2004, I'm like, okay, they had already banned it everywhere. This is very definitely his own personal space in his office, because I remember it phasing out as a teenager in the late 90s. So I think by 2004, it pretty much had to be.
I can speak for Arizona because I served, and they just in early 2000s had finally gotten rid of in restaurant, like just as I started serving. So that was probably around 2005-ish. I remember 2003 though. I went to Italy, and you could smoke anywhere.
Yeah.
You could be inside in a hotel and just light one up, and it was so novel. I ended up starting smoking again because it was just like, hey, look, I can smoke inside. It was a poor choice on my part, but
I could be completely wrong in just imagining this, but I feel like European cigarettes are different too. I mean, they're not good, don't get me wrong, but aren't like our North American ones supposed to be like twice as bad with the carcinogenics and the whole? I thought some
I don't know.
reason,
I managed to find Camels while I was there. So.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe it's just, again, just the culture of the being more over there. I was somehow thinking that some of theirs weren't quite as bogged down with as much or as many or as different chemicals. I don't know. I could be complete. I've never gone to Europe and smoked.
American cigarettes are generally stronger and have a higher nicotine content than European cigarettes. American cigarettes tend to be smoother and have a sweeter taste than British cigarettes.
Okay, so just the nicotine? They don't
There
really
might
say
be more
about
to
the
it,
other
but
ones, but
that's
okay.
all I got.
All right, so I kind of am, yeah, but all right. Anyways, but
like even reading or like watching, like I've been watching One Piece, like the actual anime, and they're like they've drawn all these characters smoking nonstop. Like
Right.
one of the characters just has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth all the time.
Yeah. I feel like I may have mentioned it on here before, but again, watching like the original MacGyver series and watching that at one point, that he's like snooping around some office building after hours, and he can tell that somebody's there working late because there's like a cigarette that's like either still burning or it's like just been put out in the ashtray on their desk. I'm like, yeah, you cannot smoke in office buildings in North America. And you know what I mean, right? It was like, that's definitely not a big. And then, like you say, at the bit by bit, where finally, the restaurants and the whole bit were some of the last ones to phase out because people like to smoke after their meals.
Like even at this point in time now, it's weird to like see people even pull out packs of smokes. Even at like the bar, I'm usually seeing people with like vapes, and I see people actually pull out a cigarette. I'm like, God, you're old school, man.
Yeah. There definitely are still enough, because again, I have smokers at work and stuff like that where I still feel like I see enough people with, but
I sell smokes. A million packs a day, so for me, I see it every day still.
yeah, there's absolutely, but yeah, in some ways I do, because there's definitely that mix. Like, I think for some people, it's the easier or whatever to have the vapes and stuff like that too. Like, not that they don't smoke, but for some of those situations where, again, right, it's like, well, you don't need to have, you're not going to get them like, if you just want to go to the bar and take it, right, you're not going to get crushed or broken, shove them in your purse or your thing, but yeah, definitely it's funny. I like I say, I can remember going to the mall after school and like smoking in the food court or at the little planter benches in places around the mall. And now, right,
we had a smoking section in high school, like out the back doors. You could go out and smoke.
Well, yeah, outside. No,
an issue.
I still remember being a small child and being put down in like a booth at Denny's with all the other kids and all the adults being like, "We'll be in the next room over."
Yeah, we'll be in the smoking section.
Yeah.
You guys are fine, right? Yeah. But yeah, that was never me. That must have been her dad.
Definitely.
So, but anyways, yes, he's very European. His huggy, kissy, smoking, whatever. And then he wants to know more. So he's hired Dresden to be investigator, and he's like, thank God you were there already. You're earning your pay. Your ad says you also do advice. You give advice. And Justin's like, well, technically I sell it. And technically that's more for, so here's what I want to know. He's like, yeah, I don't care whatever Dresden was going to say. Arturo's like, you said advice, I'm getting advice.
Right, he really takes advantage of the consulting part.
Yeah, which, fair
It's
enough.
fair if you're paying somebody already.
It's fair. I just got a little kick out of that where Harry starts to be, oh, that's more for, but we don't find out what Harry technically usually gives advice on, like, presumably maybe the up-and-coming magic here, because he's talked before about mentoring people that have a little bit of, you know what I mean? He's like, oh, I can give advice on that because I know something. And Arturo's like, no, I want advice on this.
Life.
And you kind of, yeah, because I'd be like, I don't know what again, Harry's still, you know, mid to late 20s here. Like, not saying that he doesn't know, but again, he doesn't have a lot of world experience in some ways. I would have been like, again, this guy that's definitely, you know, 10, 20, 30 years my senior or whatever, you know, and is running his own business and stuff too. I would be like, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, dude.
Right.
But Harry takes it all straight. Harry doesn't do that. Harry, like, actually is like, okay, well, what about this? And I'm like, okay, fair. It does kind of fall under your forte or whatever, your experiences of things. But yeah, she's funny.
Just right off the bat, Harry's like, you're right, there is straight up an evil eye thing going on.
Yeah,
You're not
first of all,
paranoid and superstitious.
Can
There's
confirm.
definitely something going on. So that's just a first of all.
Yeah.
And then the second of all is like, you know, Harry's like, why would you even be a target? Like, it's pornography, okay?
Yeah.
Get it
They're like,
everywhere.
no offense, but they're dime a dozen. Like, yeah, who's gonna...
And then on Arturo here, which is like critical information, feel like that should have been mentioned from the offset. That shouldn't be like something Harry had to like...
Maybe, but you know what? It was a late night party. That Harry didn't want to be there. He didn't even bother with the contract. So, you know, they maybe
He
just
may have already been
Arturo...
drinking, too,
Yeah, you know, I mean, he was slugging it straight out of the bottle. Maybe it just, you know...
Overwhelmed.
Now he's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's some of the
Bunch
details
of
you might want to know.
unprofessionals. So
What
yes,
you get for a handshake deal at a party.
there is someone who's been buying up all of the studios lately in the last couple of years.
Right, the covert pornography syndicate.
I know, I love how little porn monopoly, but yeah, if I didn't know better, I'd say.
And he's all like, I don't know, Harry, if you could maybe look into... Yeah, he's a private investigator.
There's got to be a great name for it. The something mafia, like some dirty word.
I'm sorry. Would it be the more like the mafia?
See, there had to be something.
You don't even know what happened to our Discord chat when the episode came out about trying to find a porn name for Harry.
Oh, it was great.
And you're going to inspire it all over again.
Yes.
You know, I may not always have time to be like online and all the social media and the Discord as much as I would like to be, but hey,
It was good.
this is our part right here. You know, so that's your problem if you.
What would you call your covert pornography syndicate? Let us know in the comments.
This is where Harry's really flexing his muscles at being a private dick.
Oh.
That would have been pushing it too far.
That would have been so much better during the stunt penis part.
Right.
I'm a private dick. Okay, but anyways.
And the quintessential timeline, okay? Harry must finish every book within 3 days or less.
Right. The
Here
pressure
we
is
are.
on.
This project has today and tomorrow to be filmed. And that's that.
Damn, who knew they were filmed so fast? I mean, you know, usually the quality of them, you figure these have to be like major blockbuster productions.
And so he does this whole thing like, should I end the project or should I keep going? Like, how evil is evil? And yeah, like, Harry has a totally wise answer, and he's like, are you a leader or are you a protector? You gotta choose one or the other.
Right.
And Arturo's instantly like, well, they're fucking adults, so I'm a lead. It's like, okay, fair enough.
It was really good advice. Like, and I liked how it was worded. Like, to like ask yourself these questions. Not,
Yeah,
and not
again,
just outright telling him, no, you need to stop. Or,
Well, and that's
you know.
just it, right? Like, Harry's like, I can't tell you what to do, but yeah, you gotta decide what route you're gonna take on this, you know, kind of a thing. And yeah, and I mean, again, I know they've already sort of painted this, that people are kind of between a rock and a hard place. But nonetheless, especially with this latest one being so much more, like, again, the other ones were really weird, random. Like, the one girl, okay, if she was out water skiing, nothing to do with the set or whatever, right? Okay, golf clubs to your car, related, but also, right? I'm like, okay, this is one of the actresses in the dressing room, throat slit, shit, like, one of the worst one that's happened, right? And they're like, So you have the option of staying or going, and everybody's just going to be like, I'm going to stay. It's fine. This porn is so much more important. I need this paycheck. I need this street cred, whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, they need the pull and the bit, you know what I mean? But I'm like, part of me is like, you think people could walk away? Again, as Harry keeps saying, he's like, well, it's just this porn flick, it's just this, and yet the stakes are high enough for everybody.
And part of what's being touted here, too, is just the loyalty, okay? Everyone wants to stick with Genosa, okay?
Fair enough.
They think he's a good guy, they're his friends, they want to see him succeed.
This chapter completely sets it up because he is good in it. Like, it shows that he's reasonable.
He's got a good relationship with them.
Well, yes, and he's not just be like, we have to get this done, I need my money. He is exactly looking at the morality and the things from it. And
I'll tell them it's dangerous and let them make their own choices. No hard feelings.
Yeah.
But I do like the whole, as you said, the wording for it. It's like, ask yourself how willing you are to let ambition get someone killed and weighed against how willing you are to let someone scare you out of living your life is the moral dilemma that Harry finds himself in time and time again. Because Harry's like, I don't like bullies, but I'm reliant on nonstop help from outsiders. So
yeah, right.
If I keep picking a war with vampires, they're gonna keep getting hitmen on them.
Yeah, I gotta pull Murphy into this to help, but I don't want to get Murphy in trouble and involved. And
that's a good point.
Exactly that. All these subtle things, man. It's like writers have all this. It's like I remember going through school and they'd be like, you know, like analyzing this poem or this thing. And they'll be like this, and I'd be like, maybe they just wrote it. Maybe this poem doesn't mean anything more. Maybe they just. You know, and then you have shit like this where you're like, they just, you know, and then you're like, oh, I guess authors do always take those moments to feed extra things in. I'm like, it's really annoying. I'm like, how come you can't just, you know, figure out what, you know, like sometimes I'm like.
Why are the curtains blue?
Right? Like, or not. Just be like, I don't want to have to do homework on this all the time. Like, why can't it just be this? Why do we have to read something more into it?
See, I always found that was like the easiest escape ever. For writing English and social things?
Well, it could because you can never be wrong.
Exactly.
So it's
I was like, it's blue. Okay, it's happy and skies and freedom. Okay, oh, there's a rug in the room. It's a cover-up. This is the easiest shit ever.
I know, which is fun. I'm not saying you can't. I just do find it funny sometimes. Like, right, there's always that maybe a cigar is just a cigar. Like, are we really analyzing anything in this? Are we again, like Butcher says, right? Or like you were saying about Butcher, you know, it's like, I'll never tell because now you never know when I'm purposely putting something in and whether it's just you guys run wild with your imagination and read whatever you want into it. I don't even have to do anything. You guys will come up with it for me, you know, but yeah. So that's basically what he puts on here is the whole thing. And yeah. And he's like, you got to decide. And he's like, I guess I'm not the dad. I guess I'll put it out there and
okay,
try.
Hinky.
Yeah.
Hinky. We use the word hinky.
Frequently.
Hanky, yeah.
It's a Chicago word.
This is what I said.
I'm curious, like maybe it did originate in Chicago and it's just gotten so far beyond, but I've been using that word for a long time.
I didn't really necessarily take it as it, like, he meant specifically it was originated in Chicago, just like, as opposed to, like, it's more North American.
Oh, that's funny. I totally did mean, like, when he said it's like a Chicago word, I meant like he was, like, owning that shit. Yeah. Which is funny because I always also think of it with jinky, which is, because I always think of Scooby-Doo, and I'm like, no, wait, theirs was, like, jinkies, not hinky. But yes. But according to, like, Grammarly or Grammartist or whatever this is, the origin of hinky is obscure. Some believe that hinky evolved from the Black English slang word hinkty, Hincty, which was popular in the 1920s. Hinky describes someone who is snobbish putting on airs. Others believe hinky comes from gangster lingo of the 1920s and 30s to describe jumpy behavior. In which case, I can totally see that being attributed to Chicago and the whole gangster thing of the 90s, the 90s and 30s, the 20s and 30s and blah, blah, blah. So, again, maybe it gained more notoriety or more public usage than more common, but yeah.
And those mobster stories were celebrity stories, so of course they're gonna like it.
Well, that too, but yeah, I was like, so.
See, I just took it because I know, like, Baltimore claims the word hun, right? And they're very big on that one. They're like, this is totally our word. It's a whole thing, right? So when Harry was, like, claiming hinky for Chicago, and I was like, I expected a little bit more of a specific word that is not as well used by everyone.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything that's Calgary-oriented except for, like, food-based stuff, like Caesars and ginger beef.
Well, that's the other thing. I was like, none of us are going to start claiming the word y'all or anything like that, because you got y'all all over.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there is, but again, I don't travel enough to use something somewhere and be like, oh, you're from Alberta, because you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, I'm mostly in around Alberta, and we all use the same one, so I can't pick out the things that are, I would need an outsider to, be able to tell us things that are uniquely. I'm sure there is something somewhere, but you're right. I don't.
Right. Either way, Harry figures it. There's something that is off about the whole situation because the attacks are so brutal in nature.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing again that he's coming up, right? He's like, it's different from whatever you thought it was in the start, right? Because again, Arturo's like, I wasn't even anywhere around this time, So they're like, yeah, okay, it doesn't seem to be you they're after exactly. So what is the purpose of this? And I guess that's where some of it comes out to the whole porn syndicate as opposed to just Arturo himself, and but they're kind of trying to narrow it down and figure out what other
kind of more vindictive than business oriented, really.
Well, yeah, because he's like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, I don't see a bunch of, like, CEOs sitting around and doing this, right? So, but they get interrupted by a living goddess of a woman. So, 5'4", so I can relate.
I find it really interesting how Butchers decided to, like, granularly describe Trixie versus, like, how he has very ephemeral descriptions of Laura later when she comes in.
Yeah.
I freaking was like, oh, that's really neat.
Really prominent change.
Because first we start with, like, the goddess of a woman, and you do get that physical description of her. And not only that, but, like, he does it twice, he does it in a categorical sort of a way, like...
Yeah.
Check, 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 check.
And I think, see, this for me, I was thinking about it again, listening to this, and how we've talked about, like, the male gaze, and, oh, yeah, Harry's got to describe. And I'm like... But I think maybe part of why it never bothered me before still doesn't, and I don't think I've sort of brought this up before, but, so part of it in this right now, I'm like, okay, fair enough, the woman walks in basically naked, we're on a porn set. Right now, I think that's fair descriptions, that's what we're dealing with, right? But the other side of it, I think, as I was like, I guess it's exactly that Harry keeps it all sort of as his internal monologue, right? We know that Harry's a young man, and we make the jokes are out there all the time, right? Like, guys think about sex every 7 seconds, and the men, again, it's the more visual, it's the more driving urge, it's the more biological, it's all about the looks and the physical and the whatever, whereas women want the brains,
all the stereotypes
of the, yeah, but again, where some of that came from the biological hard drives of what and stuff like this, right? But I was like, so I guess that's it. I'm like, I guess the difference is that, yeah, Harry makes those, but again, those are in his head. He doesn't act on them. And that, I think, is kind of the difference, is that Harry, like, he could totally be a Bob. Like, if Harry went by what we see in his thoughts, or just his descriptions, or what he takes in when he sees a person, you're like, you could be the biggest pervy, lecherous, lechy perv out there. But I think the difference is that, yeah, maybe his biological, whether that's Butcher or Harry or whatever, but I'm like, he doesn't act. Harry, as the person says, it's not okay to treat women that way. It's not okay to think of them that way. And I don't, he does try to be chivalrous and gentlemanly and treat women as more than just, So I'm like, I guess maybe that's why part of it has not bothered me the same way, that I'm like, I don't know, maybe this is just, right? Like, dude's 25. Hello. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether it's his hormones, his libido, his age, his whatever, that is like, can't help but see and focus on these things. But what makes Harry a good guy is that, he's not out there going, hey, how you do? You know what I mean? He's like, good, no, don't, hi, Miss So-and-so, how are you? Lovely to meet you,
He's too awkward with women to be able to do that anyway.
Right.
Well, that too.
Zero risk.
Oh, shit.
Okay, what? That too, but he says it too. He acknowledges, right? That's why he keeps getting in trouble with, like, Murphy and Susan, is because he's got this chivalrous, treat women like whatever, So I'm like, I think it kind of says something for him. But yeah, here it's yeah.
It's just something very funny about introducing someone as my newest ex-wife.
Right?
Just say ex-wife. You're such a weirdo.
Right. Well, again, maybe it's relevant to the whole thing. I mean, he already went through that Madras hosting, and then he's like, wait, how many? And he's like, oh, there's 3. So now he's like, just so you know, this is this one. This is funny. Trixie, the latest in a long line. And isn't she just a peach?
Lovely.
Oh, my God.
Ego, arrogance, delusional.
Everything Joan said about her, everything you can imagine some, like, hyped up little porn starlet to be. Anybody that's just that beautiful public, Cordelia, popular, Cordelia-esque Mean Girls kind of, right? Like,
Cordelia honestly wasn't even that mean for very long.
No,
she became Team Buffy so quickly.
Because things kept trying to attack her. She kept having...
I know, but it just seems like, it's not even fair to use Cordelia as the example of a mean girl, because it's like she had 3 seconds of being a mean girl, and then she was dating Xander. It's like, all right, done.
Yes.
But yes, she is quite
But-
the
but-
stereotypical.
Yes, but what Cordelia was meant to represent in the start before they... But yeah, exactly. And first of all, she goes, oh, this is Trisha Scrum. I told you not to call me that. I had it legally... And I loved how he's like, yes, dear, okay, dear. So Trisha, this... She, like, makes a huge... And Arturo, like... I mean, I get that sort of being like that from being a very kind of salt of the earth kind of guy that Arturo is too, that this kind of thing just wouldn't... Like, he doesn't understand the same way why she has to be... Like, again, I understand stage names, but he's like, you're Trisha. You know, no, like, I had it legally changed and blah, 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 blah. He's just like, but you're Trisha. Yeah. You know, not even that he's trying to piss her off or undermine that or anything like that. He's just like, okay. So anyway, so Trisha here did that, you know. But yeah, and then her whole interaction with Harry. Who the hell are you? Okay, Larry, I sent you for a latte an hour ago. He's like, so apparently reality just doesn't enter into her world either.
I think this is a really important setup of Jim Butcher to do it this way, to really heighten the entrance and existence of Lara.
Yes.
Because it just contrasts completely of...
Well, yeah, because again, the first thing we learn about Trixie here is that she's beautiful, right? Like he said, gorgeous red hair, beautiful figure, proportions. She's a living goddess of a woman. Then she opens her mouth and ruins it all. Thanks a lot, because women need more of that stereotype out there. But, you know, and then Lara comes in, who is also beautiful, but she's not this prissy, vapid, you know, because I'm a blonde, yeah. You know, it's like, yeah, Trixie is so stereotypical in every way. And Lara's like, I'm beautiful, but I'm also not a pinhead.
I find it really interesting, like going back to how he changes, how he describes, like very, very detailed with Trixie, but the description of Lara is otherworldly. Like Butcher waxes on about how this world or how this woman is very interesting in a nondescript way, and I think he does this to appeal to readers so that they can kind of use their own imagination and make up what an ideal woman they think is onto Lara.
I think it has to be a little
prescribe
bit.
It.
Yeah, because like, how do you describe the indescribable? You know, the supernatural. Right. Like, exactly what is that?
Because she's got at least up to this point, she's very, very vague physical descriptions. They're very sparse, and it mostly covers what she's wearing and her accessories. It doesn't actually talk about her. Yeah. Even like in the description. Thinking back later, I couldn't clearly remember her facial features or her body beyond a notion that they were superb.
Yeah.
Like, everything is just... She's so incredible that she just goes well beyond the usual. Yeah.
And again, very much as Dresden himself eventually gets to when he has a moment to sit down and think about this when it's all out of his face. But he's like, wait a second, you know, like superhumanly beautiful. Wait a minute. Maybe she's not where exactly, right? Like you get, Trixie is very much human woman. Yep. She's got the stereotypical wetchy figure, you know, everything you look for in a porn film, right? Nice ass, nice boobs, beautiful hair, pretty face, right? All the physical, that is the only thing you're there for in that, right? And nothing else. She's a horrible, detestable human being who's full of herself. She's in there, first of all, because she's pissed off that they've had to replace Giselle. And, you know, as we find out shortly thereafter, it's with Lara. But, you know, and he's like, it's okay. You're still the star, right? This is all she's worried about. Like, you have brought in
Very
somebody
insecure.
that could be better, prettier, whatever than I am, for all that she disses her in being that, like, I'm so much better because I don't have to do, like, these bondage flicks and blah, 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 right? She totally puts down on that and thinks that they're just the low form of the porn industry, you know? But...
It's quite reminiscent of when Harry met Mab, though, right? The way he describes supernatural women, because when he met Mab, he was all like, in the ruins of my office stood a woman with the kind of beauty that makes men murder friends and start wars. And then he gives a little bit of a...
Talks about her suit.
A little bit of, like, what she's wearing, and it's like her lips are the color of mulberries.
Frozen mulberries.
Smooth and lovely face. She had a deep green eye. She wasn't old, wasn't young, wasn't anything but stunning. And... my heart sped up, and the testosterone-oriented part of my brain wished that I'd been able to bathe, or shave, or at least that I hadn't worn sweatpants. So nothing but strictly stunning.
His descriptions of inhumanly beautiful women are like that he can't describe them, so he just kind of leaves it up to the reader's imagination.
It's just part of that being so calm and cool and collected. When you're a top dog, you don't have to fight with everyone else. You are in charge of the room, and it doesn't matter how snippety that Trish or Trixie wants to be because, Laura is just completely unaffected by it. She doesn't give a fuck. And she's so nice. Despite how rude Trisha is, she's still willing to let her come and work with her on her own projects.
Right? Exactly. But yeah, invites her along to the other thing, and apparently that's just for, like, old wash-ups and has-beens and things like that, which, again, I'm not going to claim to be any kind of expert in the porn industry, but not the impression that I got from folks that are into. I'm like, I don't know why bondage just suddenly jumps for that, but okay. Apparently
not what
Trisha's
Trisha
buzz.
is.
That is insecurity speaking, I'm sure.
I guess, yeah.
I want to throw mud and I don't know how. Man.
Yeah. And again, that Lara's just so above and beyond. Like, it reminds me, exactly, of, like, when the 4-year-old is giving me, and I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's so far out that I'm like, I cannot feel threatened by this at all because I know for a fact you have no idea what you're talking about or, whatever, right? I don't need to prove myself to a 4-year-old, right? And that's just what Laura's. Laura's just like, I don't give, like, okay.
All right, sweetie.
I don't need to have a comeback or anything because you were just so far below me that I'm just like.
This could have been the leg up for you, but I guess not.
Yeah.
And literally.
Yeah, literally. Although she does still say, keep in touch.
Laura's agreed to even use a blindfold and a pseudonym for the film, okay? Like, she's very accommodating.
Right? Because, yeah, exactly. That's what Trixie's all freaking out about is that, I'm bringing this He's like, we needed somebody to cover for Giselle. Short notice. She's doing us a favor. And exactly. Just so that you're still the prettiest one. Exactly. Is that she's going to be covered up with a pseudonym so nobody's going to know because, which again is telling right there in the fact that, like, well, then obviously everybody else would be all gaga for Lara, you know what I mean? So it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot
You're
here.
even
Trixie.
admitting that.
Yeah, like, it's like in order to, say that you're still maintaining to go to these measures indicates that you would be second best next to you, but okay, whatever. It's still your film. You're the star, blah, blah, blah.
So the last final part about this whole moment, too, is when you've got Trixie being all, I'm so confident, I'm going to go in this barely see-through lingerie because I'm just so beautiful and everyone will appreciate it, to be right next to still fully dressed Laura, and then suddenly feeling so, like,
and
demeaned next to it and uncomfortable.
Still
and, like,
come in
right? And
a
just,
far second.
and it's, so this whole moment where she wobbles out of the room on her, whereas before she was, like, just confident right into the room, and now she's wobbling away on these heels, and it's just like, dude, you let her.
Yeah.
Totally let her win.
Yeah, it just does not have the same effect that it did a moment before or anything like that, right? Now it's like, again, you think you've got this fantastic thing, you're looking at this beautiful diamond, and then all of a sudden up pops this completely flawless diamond, and you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe how shit that looks. Even though a minute ago it was like the most beautiful thing, right? It's like, oh, damn it.
Flash forward to Harry, who's just like, holy shit, Neanderthal brain right now. This girl is fucking, like, hunger. I'm like, oh my god, so involved with this, watching every move, so entranced. To Arturo, who's just like, Laura, how are you?
What did he say? Like a favorite uncle or something like that, admonishing his, Lara, that wasn't very nice,
Yeah, Laura is very friendly with Arturo. Like you can tell that they have a very familiar relationship, and I think so. It implies that there is a friendly relationship with Joan as well, because they're talking about how he forgot his medication.
Joan sent me up here. Yeah.
And from what we know of Joan, she wouldn't give two flying fucks about Lara if she hated her.
Well, yeah, we already saw how she exactly right, like what her opinion of Trixie is. And very fair now that we've met Trixie. You're like, yeah, we hate her too. She is an obnoxious little airheaded bitch, right? But again, Laura's just Lara. Laura's like, I'm here to be a professional. This is it. I'm not here, even though obviously she could be 10 times the Trixie because she does have the walk to back up the talk. She's not. Right? She's like, I'm here to do your job. Hey, Arturo, how's it going? Joan says your meds came in. I got to bring you down to set.
So not only is she beautiful, but she's kind and caring.
Kind and caring, willing to play along. Sure, I will fill in last minute. Fine. You don't want me to upstage Trixie. I'll go with a pseudonym.
So accommodating.
So accommodating, so friendly, so whatever. Just chill, just whatever.
Laura also mentions that the girl we just met, Inari, is her little baby sister.
Oh, yes.
A family production.
Family production. Which is the other thing that he gets all like, wait a minute. I don't think this is her real name. Supernaturally beautiful? I bet you she really are Raith. Wait a minute, that makes 2. But then he's not so sure about Inari because he did not get, like, again, he was like, oh, she's cute, she's pretty, nice looking girl. But he's like, I did not get, like, my jaw was not on the floor, my pants were not,
that supernatural element was not there.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't get the same crazed, succubus thing going on. But still, gotta keep an eye on them because, The other thing I find...
He says this whole, he's like, son of a bitch, the White Court is here. And it's like, yeah, the White Court introduced you to this mission, dude. Like, are you really that surprised?
Well, this is... Right.
Look who hired you.
Well, and again, I was like, next time I see Thomas, I'm going to have to punch him in the... All right, like, you fucker, there is more to this than just help a friend. I want to go on the whole Trixie name thing, though. To me, the ne, any always means, like, what you were born, like, and again, I believe that is the French word for born.
It's like...
So when I see it in, like...
Original name.
Yeah, obituaries and things.
I had to look it up. I was like...
Okay.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, so I've seen it, weirdly, one that's come up a lot in crosswords is actually where I most frequently know it. I guess it's just a convenient place to add a couple E's in the... I don't know.
I don't ever remember coming across it, so that's why I was like, is that?
Yeah, but I do know they do it in exactly like in your obituaries or your wedding, it'll be like, again, whatever, Mrs. Green, nay Picard, whatever that was, right? So you're like, no, okay, you can associate it with her other family, right? I feel like he does it completely backwards here. He goes, Trisha, Trixie, Scrump, nay Genosa, nay Vixen. I'm like, but shouldn't it be the other way around? It should be Vixen, nay Genosa, nay Scrump. Because she's originally a Scrump, then she became a Genosa, then she became a Vixen. And I'm like, I don't know why. I'm like, is there some other? I'm like,
Does it have to be in order? Like,
it does. It bugged me because that's not the right use of it then. Yeah, that's something that I was like, you have it backwards. I was like, it can't be nay Genosa, nay Vixen. I'm like, but sure, are you just being free? Is there something I don't know, or are you just getting that all ass backwards? And
in his defense, his mind has just been melted by Lara.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's
like,
Dresden. It's not.
But you want it to go Vixen, Genosa, Scrump?
It should be Vixen, nay Genosa, nay Scrump, because Scrump is her original birth name. So it can't be Scrump, it can't be Scrump. Previously known as Genosa, previously known as Vixen.
Yes, I understand.
It's Vixen, previously known as Genosa, previously known as Scrump.
Maybe Butcher just doesn't know his French.
Oh, right. This is what I'm wondering. I'm like, is this a little... All right, and that's just why it irks. It has, ever since day one, that's just one little thing that has always irked me about that one. I'm like, you've got the right... Like, I get the gist of what you're going, but I'm like, dude, you did it.
It's not how knee is used.
It's not how it goes. It's totally backwards.
He does sort of play around with grammar when he's not sure about it anyway, so it's not like succubuses, suck you by.
But at least he makes a point of it.
Bussies.
Succubuses.
Suck you.
Suck you.
I think it's suck you by.
It's like, that's what I would go with. I'm pretty sure it's a suck you by thing too. But yeah, I just like how he's like, maybe more than one, which for grammatical reasons I hope is not the case. So everybody tromps down. Harry decides he needs to make a phone call. I'll be right beside you. And then he's like, oh shit, more vampires. Yay.
This concludes our episode 12.9, Grace, Beauty, Art. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing. Please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.